All right, let's jump straight into a massive cosmic question. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating perspective shared by Srila Prabhupada. We're looking right at that boundary between the physical laws we observe every day and the metaphysical sustaining forces that might literally be operating behind the scenes. So here is the focus for today. Why do unimaginably massive planets remain perfectly suspended in the entire universe? It's a huge, honestly awe-inspiring topic that bridges observable science with ancient philosophy, and I promise you it's going to change how you look at the night sky.
Section 1. The Cosmic Mystery.
We're going to start by peeling back the very first layer of our observable reality, which is just the sheer awe of our universe. It's something we literally see every night, but, we rarely fully process it. Seriously, when you look up at the night sky, you kind of have to wonder. We're talking about colossal bodies here. To put that into perspective, Earth alone weighs nearly 6 reganograms. That is a 6 followed by 27 zeros. It's wild. Yet it moves completely harmoniously alongside billions of other stars and planets through this vast, endless emptiness of space. Why doesn't the whole shebang just collapse into chaos? Now, modern science obviously gives us incredible math to track all of this, but when you really sit with the sheer scale of unimaginably massive planets suspended perfectly in the void, it naturally invites a much deeper inquiry. Is there something more to this cosmic choreography?
Let's move right into Section 2, Science versus Vedic Wisdom.
So, let's see how modern science and ancient Vedic wisdom approach this exact same mystery from two distinct, but actually highly complementary angles. What's really interesting about this Vedic approach is that it absolutely doesn't reject observable physical laws like gravity or orbital mechanics. Not at all. Instead, it accepts the how, but pushes a bit further to ask the why. Like, what exactly empowers these physical laws to function with such astonishing pinpoint precision? The source text points out that just as the existence of a highly structured set of rules strongly implies an organizer who actually made them, Vedic literature points toward an underlying conscious principle that sustains this entire cosmic order.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Sustaining Divine Energy.
To figure out who or what this organizer is, we need to peel back the next layer of the text. And this brings us to a really powerful verse from the Bhagavad Gita, specifically chapter 15, text 13. This verse introduces the Supreme Lord, explaining that planets stay in orbit not just by blind, unguided mechanical interactions, but because his energy operates directly within creation itself. It's actually a profound conceptual shift, right? We're moving from a purely mechanical, clockwork universe to an energized, actively sustained one. So the absolutely crucial point here revolves around a specific Sanskrit word, ojasa. It translates roughly to by my potency or energy. And this represents the divine sustaining force that actually maintains the cosmic order. It basically signifies that the universe is not some abandoned machine that got wound up at the dawn of time and just left to run on its own. Rather, it's continuously maintained, powered, and held together by this constant divine strength.
To really expand on this, the discourse by Srila Prabhupada explains that the Lord, functioning as Paramatma, enters into everything. And I mean literally everything. We are talking about the entire universe, every single planet, every living being, and, this is the amazing part, even down to every individual atom. It's because of this continuous, active presence that things remain harmoniously organized and actually function according to their overarching purpose.
All right, Section 4, 3 Illuminating Analogies.
To really grasp this philosophical concept, because, let's be honest, wrapping our heads around universal divine supervision is no small task, the text gives us 3 absolutely brilliant metaphors. The first one is the airplane. If you see a massive commercial jet flying high in the sky, you can perfectly explain its movement using aerodynamics, fuel combustion, and complex mechanical systems. Science does this beautifully, right? But those explanations alone don't tell the entire story. Because without the conscious pilot, the actual intelligence actively guiding the machinery, that super sophisticated machine eventually loses direction. So the mechanics represent the how, but the conscious pilot is the why the flight remains on a safe and purposeful path.
Building on that, the text offers a second, very grounded metaphor: a handful of dust. Think about it. If you just scatter dust particles in the air, what happens? Well, they immediately fall to the ground or get blown away by the wind. But if a hand holds those exact same particles firmly, they remain perfectly suspended above the ground. The text compares our colossal planets to these particles of dust. They don't just float independently by some cosmic accident. They rest securely upon a universal divine strength that's holding them safely in place. Their stability relies entirely on that grasping force.
Finally, we have the analogy of the living body. A living human body can move, swim, and operate with incredible vitality. But the moment the life force departs, it becomes a dead mass. The physical matter itself hasn't changed externally. The atoms, the molecules, they are all still right there. Yet the animating principle is completely absent. Vedic wisdom suggests that cosmic bodies work in a very similar way. They require a supreme sustaining energy, so they aren't just dead, inactive masses moving accidentally through the void. They actually have a vital, conscious presence maintaining their position.
Let's pull this all together in Section 5, the conscious controller.
So how do the observable mechanisms of gravity and this idea of a conscious controller actually work together in this worldview? Well, the Vedic hymns make it very clear that gravity isn't the final cause. It's essentially just part of the mechanism. Think of gravity as the machinery of our cosmic airplane. It's completely valid, completely real. But step 2 is recognizing the deeper cause. The reason the sun shines, the reason planets move in such an orderly fashion, and why the universe doesn't just scatter like dust in the wind is the divine intelligence operating behind those physical laws. It's the supreme conscious controller actually empowering the physics.
Ultimately, this perspective highlights a really profound philosophical shift. It teaches us that behind all the complex equations of planetary motion, behind the astrophysics and the orbital mechanics, there stands not merely an impersonal blind force, but a conscious, sustaining presence. A presence that is actively, continuously maintaining the flight of our entire universe.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. The physical laws of our universe are undeniably brilliant, but according to this Vedic discourse, they are just the instruments. So, the next time you look up at the unimaginable vastness of the suspended night sky, you might just find yourself pondering this exact question. If the universe is like an incredibly complex airplane, flying perfectly on course, who is the pilot? Thanks so much for exploring this cosmic mystery with me today. Keep asking those big questions.